Good evening, everyone. Uh, as you know, this session is about meditation and connecting with the heart. And we have with us a best-selling author, Joshua Pollock, who's co-authored a book called The Heartfulness Way. So Joshua, thank you for this session. And let me start off with a simple question. When you say connecting with the heart, aren't we already connected? The heart is a part of the body. So could you speak more about what do you mean by connecting with the heart and how are we not connected, if at all?
Sure. Everybody, of course, everybody has a heart. Now the heart, as most people think of it, as an organ, flesh and blood, right? But then there are other perspectives of the heart too. For instance, you look in the Gita, there's a passage where Lord Krishna remarks, I am in the heart of all created things. If you look at Sufism, they give a lot of importance to the heart. If you look in the Upanishads, they describe or they locate the Atman as, the heart as the dwelling of the Atman. So in the spiritual traditions and mystic traditions, of various kinds, you find that the heart seems to have some place of prominence. So there's something about the heart which is more than just matter. This is the theory. But theory isn't enough, because philosophies are abounding in this world. So really, I would say that meditation, and specifically a heart-centered meditation, is a way to explore and see for oneself what wonders this organ of the heart actually contains. And I think, my own experience with meditation has shown that you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. It isn't just mere connecting with the heart, but it's plunging into some sort of infinite cave, And so there's a lot to find out. And there's a lot to experience.
Great. So how do you connect meditation and the heart? We're talking about connecting to the heart. Is meditation the only way? One of the ways? How would you connect the dots?
Okay, so if you look at, some of the older traditions, like you have some Tibetan Buddhist traditions or the Tantric traditions, where they speak about things, these chakras, right? And, in some of the old Buddhist traditions, I think they had 6 chakras, and then commonly everybody is familiar with the system in which there are 7, and then others say there are many, many more, right? Now, if you look at what we consider to be the bottommost chakras, if you look at the animal kingdom, you find that those chakras are already in some degree of awakening. And those are connected to certain survival instincts, right? And depending on the species that we're talking about, the heart is also in some certain level of awakening, especially in, like dolphins or horses or some animals like that. Human beings, the heart is also in a state of awakening. What does this mean, in a state of awakening? We're talking about levels of consciousness. And various types of consciousness have different centers within the human system. That's what we're talking about when we're speaking about chakras, right? So the type of consciousness which is centered in the heart is unique, right? And to the extent that we have access to that, or to the extent that that center is dormant, changes our whole experience of life and our perception of everything around us. Human beings, we have access to that heart center, that type of consciousness, but not totally, not to the extent required. So the first step is by centering your consciousness on the heart itself, and now something sort of really magical can happen. And as that heart begins to open more and more, because now we find ourselves somewhere halfway in between the animal and the human. We also have the same centers of consciousness open that they do, but we also have this heart. So we're a little bit here, a little bit there. But then as we go on, we can become fully human. And then other opportunities are there beyond that. What they call, divine nature. That's a potential. So there's a lot of potential, but it all begins with the heart, because that's where we are now.
It's interesting you're talking about consciousness and divine, but today when you look around us, we find people are barely human. You look at the violence around us, look at the kind of lifestyle people lead.
Yeah.
So what ails us and how can that be fixed?
Well, it's a thing where this was brought up at the other session that I was in this afternoon also, where somebody was commenting that they don't think that divine nature or even human nature has much humanity at all, in an inherent way. And I'm always reminded of the famous Mu cone. In Zen Buddhism, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Zen Buddhism. I don't practice it, but I am very fascinated by it. And there's one story, one Chinese story, where, you see, in Buddhism, they believe that everybody has this higher nature called Buddha nature, right? And so one day a student asks his master, he says, does even a dog have this Buddha nature? And the master says, no. And so this is something that students of Buddhism study and try to figure out. How could he say no when our doctrine says that all creatures have this, right? And my feeling on this is that in an innate way, all of us have the divine. We are carriers of the divine. But that doesn't mean that we are expressing that. That doesn't mean that it's our nature. Your nature is what you are at a subconscious level. You don't have to think and plan to express your nature. Does it take any planning or thought to lose your temper? Doesn't take it just happens, right? At that moment, my nature is being expressed in some way, without any filter, right? So if at a subconscious level, if I can elevate what I am innately, then without any thought, without trying to be elevated or trying to be evolved, it'll just ooze out. The highest nature will just ooze out.
Let me ask you a different question. I understand what you're saying. But as humans today, we also have a lot of fear in terms of being vulnerable. Suppose I'm divine, suppose I'm oozing out divinity. What if people take advantage of me? What if I'm vulnerable to everything that is around me? Because I may become divine, I may become whatever you're saying, but that is not going to change the world around me, and people are going to take advantage, people are going to be what they are. Will that make me susceptible to the external environment, or because
I think it's a risk worth taking, to be honest.
So, yeah. But I have also been meditating, and I have also observed, and this is something you can validate, that for me, of course it's a risk, but at the same time I feel meditation gives us the possibility to somehow balance our inner state in such a way that we don't get affected.
That's true. I agree.
I think that's what I feel has, I don't know whether there's divinity oozing out or not, but definitely there is calmness oozing inside, which gives you some kind of balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
because I think when you go deep in meditation, you go into some kind of samadhi-like state, right? And then there's just, I don't know how to describe it. You're absent in a way, And a lot of meditators experience that absence. And then there's no more of this wavering, no from this emotional thing. You're very balanced. And that's the meaning of the word samadhi also. Etymologically, that's the meaning. It's a balanced state. It's a state that's supposed to resemble or be equal to the original balance that existed before the universe even came into being. That's the meaning of the word samadhi. So by meditating and going deep into meditation, if you go into a samadhi state, now you have balance. Now you have what, in the Gita they speak about as sthit pragya, right? And with that sthit pragya, that equilibrium, right? Now how are you going to be swayed by so many things around you? It's true. So many things are going to happen to us, and that's never going to stop because that's just the nature of life, right? But the quality of my consciousness, that's something that I can do something about. I can go and I can watch the sunset. I can watch the sunset. Let's say, you fall in love with your beloved, you fall in love with your sweetheart, your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Watch the sunset, and it's a moment that you always remember. And the sunset is more beautiful because of the person who's beside you. If that person breaks up with you, then if you see the sunset, it's just going to torment you, right? Now, the colors are still the beautiful reds and purples and oranges, but the whole meaning has changed because my consciousness has changed. But nothing outside me has changed in that sense. So
to take that, I totally agree with what you're saying, and so the same thing happens. So when you say I'm meditating and I'm in Samadhi, and 30 minutes later, 45 minutes later, I'm getting late for office, my boss is going to kill me, or I have a deadline to meet. How do you remain balanced? The great meditation for 45 minutes, and then it's 45 minutes of hell.
I understand. My experience is that there's nothing in you to become unbalanced at that point. That's just been dissolved away in the meditation. So previously there was something that could start wavering. Now you've just dissolved yourself away, and now you're just like something that's empty. The wind blows through, but there's the hurricane comes, the cyclone comes, it'll break your windows if you have windows, right? If you have glass. But if it's just open, it'll just blow through, and it won't affect anything at all. So that's what I feel like.
You think we should be able to...
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure that people, I've experienced this, and it's not a matter of should, it just happens,
Mm-hmm.
It's a big burden to carry yourself around. It's the most terrible thing in life. But I think the biggest burden is this I, and it's the source of all of our problems. Or it's what makes our problems worse anyway. There's the problems, and then there's what we make of the problems. And this culprit, of myself, I think that when we're able to just let go of this burden, then life just becomes so light. I think that's what my experience, meditation does that in a tangible way, Even, I'm not talking about your whole evolution as a spiritual entity over the course of your lifetime. I'm just talking about in 20 minutes, And that can change your day, It'll change your life, and it'll also change your day, your work day,
And that's wonderful to hear, but could we try it out and see whether how it works?
Because this is I want to meditate with you. I'm not going to ask you if you want to meditate. I'd like to meditate with you.
No, I'm sure everybody would be very intrigued to walk the talk and see how we get to that stage which you're talking about.
Let's have a practical experience of it, right?
So would you walk
Have
us
people
through?
here meditated before? Who's meditated in your life? Okay. It's what they call preaching to the choir. So let me just talk about how this heartfulness approach to it, right? First important thing is to switch off your phones. Silence them. Now, here we meditate on the heart. And we don't just meditate on the heart, we're trying to connect with something that is beyond conception. So, we take a very simple idea. We meditate on the source of light within our hearts. Meditate on the source of light within your heart. And you don't have to, this is a very easy process. You just, you close your eyes. And you just remind yourself that this is what I'm meditating upon. The source of light is already present within me. I don't have to put it there. I don't have to imagine it being there. It's there. Take it for granted it's there. And now just relax and, let your awareness remain centered there in the heart. And now you just see what happens. You allow, if thoughts come and bother you, It's okay if thoughts come. You can let them come, you can let them go, but just don't entertain them too much, and don't fight with them too much either. If they really are disturbing you, you can just remind yourself that, "Oh, I'm meditating." That's all it takes. Right? So let me lead you through this process. This isn't just meditation. This is meditation with something also coming through from this side. That'll be affecting the course of your meditation, which we can talk about after also. I'm glad so many of you have meditated, because now you're going to experience something called meditation with pranahuti. Not just meditation, but meditation with pranahuti or yogic transmission. Okay. So let's just, we'll start. We'll meditate for about 15 minutes, no more than that. Okay. I'll walk you through a process. I'll help you relax the various parts of the body, because it's easier to meditate that way. And then I'll say, please start. And we'll be quiet and we'll meditate. Okay. Please close your eyes very softly and gently. And bring your attention to your toes. You can relax your toes. And you can even imagine that there's a current of healing energy from Mother Earth entering through the soles of your feet, entering through the bottom of your feet and relaxing them. And this energy moves gently up your legs, relaxing your ankles, letting your lower legs relax, relaxing your knees. Relax your upper legs. Relax your hips, your waist, and relax all the muscles in your back from the base of your spine all the way up till your shoulders. Let your abdomen relax. Stomach muscles. And relax all the muscles in your chest. Now relax your shoulders. Let them be very soft, almost melting. Your upper arms, triceps, bicep muscles. Relax your elbows and all the muscles of your forearms. Relax your wrists and hands, fingers, fingertips. And you can even feel that energy flowing out from your fingertips. And bring your attention to your neck and relax your neck muscles. Relax the muscles of your throat. Relax your jaws. And drop your jaw. Let your tongue rest on the floor of your mouth. Relax all the muscles of your face. And let your eyes be very softly closed. Relax your temples, your brow, Relax your ears and earlobes, and all the way to the crown of your head. Now bring your attention to your whole body, expand it, and see if there's any place that requires your attention, that requires more relaxation, any place that feels painful, and relax that place. And now, with the suggestion that the source of light is already present in your heart, allow your attention to rest there in the heart. Let it be attracted and pulled inward by that light. Please start meditation. That's all. Please just take a moment to observe how you feel. You can keep your eyes closed and see what you feel now that meditation is over. And sort of gradually, as you feel ready, sort of very gently come out of meditation. Some of these moments after your after meditation are kind of like you're still meditating, but your eyes are open. You're trying to make a very smooth transition into the normal wakeful state.
I have a question which I'm sure would be in the minds of many people who are here, which is that there are so many kinds of meditation. You walked us through this one kind of meditation. You mentioned pranahuti. So could you elaborate upon that, which would somehow help everyone understand what we just went through?
Yeah, so fundamentally I just want to say one thing. About, you mentioned that there are many kinds of meditation, and of course there are. There are different kinds of mangoes, there's different kinds of apples, there's different varieties of fruit. The first fundamental thing, when I started meditation, I had tried different kinds before. In its own way, that helped me appreciate this. But at the same time, if you're going to eat a mango, you can enjoy it without first trying 5 other varieties. It isn't necessary to compare 10 things to be able to enjoy one thing, right? So in a way, comparison I don't think has so much value, because you can just experience something and evaluate the effect that has on you, on its own terms, right? So, what makes one method unique in comparison to other methods? Take it for what it is. And what is this? It is something that you can define according to your experience that you have, and further on according to the non-experience that you gain after experiencing things. Because after all, this is about dissolving yourself. So, but in terms of just features of, what attracted me to heartfulness meditation was, as a very sort of skeptical person, I was never raised in any kind of religious household at all. In America, both parents came from different backgrounds. So I don't think the word God was mentioned. I can't remember it being mentioned even once in my childhood, ever. So this was my background. So I wasn't really so interested in I was interested in spirituality, but not. I felt that such terms were loaded for me personally. So I was much more attracted to things like, Zen Buddhism, which seems nice and atheistic from my perspective, right? And I was actually put off by other forms of meditation, which seem much more, which have some idea of divinity associated with them. But after a friend of mine was telling me about heartfulness and, why don't you try this? And I had some experience with it. I went to a trainer and had a few sessions. And I found that it was consistently just blowing my mind. And I didn't know why it was so different from other things that I'd tried. So they kept saying it's because of yogic transmission. It's because of pranahuti. So I was experiencing it. So what can we say about it? On the level of the body, you need to eat, you need to drink, you need oxygen, you need some sort of, input. On the level of the mind also, you need a different kind of input, right? You nurture the mind in a different way, with learning. And then the level of the soul also requires something. And that's what this is, this transmission. It's been called something like divine energy. That term doesn't really appeal to me so much, because I feel energy is still on the physical level and only remains on the physical level. This is not on the physical level. This is on the soul level. And you experience it on the soul level. So this is something you can experiment with or continue to play with. Find somebody who can give you such an experience. Some trainer, heartfulness, who knows heartfulness, who can provide you the experience of yogic transmission when you meditate. And if you're interested in doing that, you can do that. And they won't ask you for anything in return. And until you satisfy yourself that I see what this is that he was talking about.
So how do you go about it? I mean, we experienced this and it was very profound.
This is just a taste. This is nothing much more than just like walking past the kitchen and something's cooking there, and you say, okay, that smells good. Okay, that's what this is. But we have, this is, an organization that's Heartfulness Institute. It's worldwide, so wherever you live, you can just go to heartfulness.org and find somebody who can help you if there's something you want to try. There's a function, it's like a Google Maps thing called Heart Spots. You find somebody near you. Many people here in Pune. Or if you want to read about it, I have a book. I'm here because I wrote a book about it. So, in any case, it's called The Heartfulness Way. So this goes more deeply into the subject. I feel that this is just something which is, it's not just about yoga or not just about anything in particular. I feel my experience has shown me that this, I feel, transcends a lot of things, a lot of ideologies. I'm not tied to any ideology. So I feel that you can really go to the source of reality,
Interesting. I mean, I had a lot of questions, but I think I would, before I go on rambling, if there are any questions in the audience, because we went through a profound experience, yes.
We went to the meditation procedure just now, and after relaxation, relaxing the whole body, you mentioned that you must concentrate, or you should go to your heart, and then you should visualize a light emitting or light coming inside the heart. Can you elaborate on that procedure, what you do once you focus on your heart?
His question is that when we did the process of meditation, we started with relaxing the body. And after the whole body was relaxed, after the relaxation process was over, you mentioned that you have to visualize that there is light in the heart. Can you elaborate on that process of what was this whole light thing about and what do you exactly do?
They say that God is the simplest thing. And so therefore, achieving a simple thing requires simple means. And complicated methods will never help us in achieving anything simple, will never help us in becoming simple. So this method is so simple that it becomes very complicated. Because there's nothing more to it. How can I elaborate? There's nothing more to say. There's nothing more that you do. I would say that we do less than what you described. What you described involved visualizing light in the heart. We don't even do that. You simply presume that it's there. That's an assumption, or it's a supposition, you could say. Not a visualization. That's too effortful. That's using imagination, actually. But how can you reach reality through imagination anyway? You can't. So if you want to reach reality, you have to stop imagining. Right? So we can't add things to this process. We're trying to, in fact, uncover something, not cover with more and more layers of theory and philosophy and imagination. So this process is very simple. This is something that you undergo. Right? When you just take a shower, you stand underneath the shower head and the water does its work. Right? There's no method to how should I stand under the shower head. The water itself does the work. Or even better if you submerge yourself in a river, right? What do you have to do? Similarly, this method itself, you undergo the method and the method does its work. What you experience is a result of what the method is doing. And it's just that simple. So, there's nothing much.
Did you get your answer? I mean,
No, in that method itself, I am not clear what we do. I mean, we just be at the heart, or we think that there is a. What we do after we concentrate on heart?
Yeah,
The
okay.
procedure itself is slightly not clear to me.
Sorry?
After you go to your
he feels the
heart,
process is still not clear to him. Once
There
you
is
go
no
to the
process,
heart,
I'm telling you. You can just imagine, it's as if you're falling into a bottomless abyss. You just plunge. You don't, you can try doing something, but eventually,
let me attempt to answer it for you because I've done some sessions. I think your question is about the practice, and what Joshua is trying to say is that when you sit in meditation, he spoke about transmission or the divine energy. It kind of takes over your system. So when you're sitting in meditation and you're trying to, you've just given a supposition that there is divine energy or there is divine light in my heart. It's just a supposition. And then you try to feel or experience what you're going through. And as he gave that beautiful example of the water, the transmission takes over. And when we are meditating, it is obvious that in nature, if there is a vacuum, there will be thoughts which will come. So suppose you're sitting in meditation and you're being disturbed by various thoughts. You could kind of ignore them rather than try to fight them or even think that, they should not be there and things like that. Because our thoughts derive energy or power from us itself. So, as it's mentioned in this book, The Heartfulness Way, where it's described as treat them as uninvited guests. So perhaps if we ignore them or we just don't pay any attention to them, the process becomes easier.
Yes, I would agree that anything that you give attention to becomes stronger internally. So is the same with thoughts. You have thoughts, you pay more and more attention to them, wondering what should I do about this? And how should I adjust myself? Then it'll become stronger, and it'll build up and build up and build up, and you'll think, what's happening here? You know? So this is the whole problem. We have our own creations, right? And we've been feeding these creations with our energy and attention. So this is about removing our attention from that. Or rather not reacting. You can see it, you can allow it to be there, but don't react to it. Let it be there and don't worry about it. And then this creation just shrivels up like an unwatered plant, you know? And what's left is something that's real, you know? I think both of you had a question. Yeah, down here in the front row, please. The mic.
I have a question.
Oh, somebody's there. Okay. Then afterwards, come here, please.
Okay, hi. My question is this kind of meditation suited for everybody and anybody can do it? Because I'll tell you my experience right now. I was trying to focus and meditate, and after say 5-10 minutes, I didn't really take out of time. I thought I'll fall on my face. And there was some kind of energy, and I also started sweating. So is this suited for everybody? Or
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's good. You know, there's so many different types of things that can happen during meditation. Almost anything can happen. And that depends upon what we bring already along with us in the form of our, you know, what we're harboring inside ourselves, emotionally and mentally, right? Now, everything has to come out. Everything has to come out in some form or another. And in meditation, this process is triggered. So the effects can be wildly different between different people initially. But as time goes on, the experiences all start to become very similar and universal between people. And the only difference is what we ourselves have brought along with us in the form of, you know, it's been said, in the form of our own belongings that we've accumulated emotionally over the years and over our histories. So I think we should not be surprised by having any kind of experience, because anyway, all that is within us has to come out. And the only thing that we can experience is something which is already inside us. There's nothing external that we are going to experience through meditation. Everything that you're experiencing is already inside you. You're experiencing it as it's vacating your system, not the other way around. Is that a timer?
Can we say it's some kind of insecurity?
You can say it's anything. It can be anything. It could be some kind of insecurity, it could be anything at all, but it doesn't matter what it is, because everything gets set right. Everything becomes balanced. So, no matter how that feels, you'll find that. Somebody in the front here? Microphone in the front?
I think there's someone there.
Okay, we'll work our way frontwards.
Yeah, good evening. So my question is like, as you're from the US, so how did you get introduced to the Gita, the Vedas, Sanskrit, yoga, everything?
Oh, well, I don't know. I suppose my father had a lot of books when I was a kid. Many, many books. So there are books of all kinds, not just Gita books and things like that, but you know, of all kinds of subjects. But these were also there. One of my first books that I found very appealing was Lao Tzu. That's one of the greatest things. Anyway, so that was there to satiate my interest, or trigger my interest rather. And you'll find, I think in the US, many people are interested in various kinds of things like that. And only problem was I couldn't do anything about it, because I'm from a very remote area of the US, up in the forest, right? So I had to wait until I was living in some city. And then, even then, I only found it like half by chance. I was walking down the street one day, you know, and I just got talking to someone. And then it came out, oh, that they're interested in meditation. I said, what do you do? And they said it was this. I'd never heard of it. And we just sort of stayed in touch. And some months later, I ended up having my first experience with this. So it just happened. I don't know. Yeah. Here.
I met many high-profile people or celebrities, and I asked them whether do you meditate. Their reply, by and large, was that meditation is not necessary. If you are clear in your and strong in your thoughts, you don't need any meditation. Number one, it is for something weak peoples. They have to practice the meditation. And another reply was that meditation leads you to the abandonment, means virakti, sannyasta vritti, or reluctance to the practical life. So,
I think that for somebody to make a comment that meditation is for weak people proves that that person requires meditation more than anyone else. What sort of statement is that? Is that the statement of an accomplished person? Truly accomplished people I know are humble. I mean, the real masters, I'm not talking spiritual masters, I'm talking masters of their craft, whatever their profession may be. They're humble people, the real ones. They'll never say something like that. So I think that person requires it more. And, sannyas, again, and now if we're going to talk about weakness, we can talk about sannyas. We can talk about abandoning responsibilities. We can talk about sannyas. That's not for meditators, not real meditators. What's the Gita about anyway? Gita is about duty. So how can you abandon your duty and still live up to it in some way? So sannyas, I don't know what this is all about.
Can I just add something to this, which is, it's a practice. Meditation is a practice. It's like saying exercise is only for the weak people. You could use that analogy and say that if you're weak, then only you need to exercise. I'm already strong, so I don't need to exercise. So someone who is strong and exercises will tell you that it is important to exercise to be strong or remain strong. So I don't think that question. And as far as an answer to what the first gentleman said on what you're talking about in terms of sannyas or whether vairagya will come and things like that, I think eventually the proof of the pudding is in the eating. We can discuss how to get into a pool, what will happen if we get into the pool, and what will happen with the water, and how we are going to experience it, and things like that. And we could do that for hours, and we may not necessarily be any wiser by the end of it. But the easiest thing is to take a dip, and I'm sure we'll really experience it for ourselves, what we are going through. And as Joshua mentioned, this is a very simple practice. In fact, deceptively simple, I think. So, and we have nothing to lose. So I think we had an experience today. We all may have felt differently about what we really felt. But if we felt good about it, it's worth giving it a shot. I would just say that that's the simplest way of describing an experience, something like what meditation is all about, because any intellectual discussion is not really going to gain us anything as such, because every experience is unique. This lady spoke about what she felt, and you can't say what she felt was wrong. I would not say what she felt was right. It was her experience, but that does not necessarily mean it is the same for somebody else. That's about it. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hi.
After this.
I had this strange kind of issue. Every time I sit to meditate rather, I found that whenever the thoughts become really quiet, I've just found that I fall asleep and I'm unable to take it to the next level. And I've experienced this continuous, that whenever I'm actually able to let the thoughts go away, I've realized that I'm not able to stay awake with the mind being so silent. And that's been a real problem, because whenever, and this actually started when about 11 or 12 years back, when, if you're from the US, you'd probably have definitely heard of Eckhart Tolle, the guy who wrote A New Earth. And at that time, Oprah had started the web series, and I had a small baby, and I was just going through, I think, a little bit of postnatal depression, and I wanted to start meditating, and I would wait for the online course which they would have. And every time he would speak, I would find that I used to wait for that, and after barely 5 minutes of him speaking, I would fall asleep. And for a while, I just didn't understand what was happening. And then I realized that he had such an intensely calming effect that it was very hard for the mind to stay awake when it went into a state of no thoughts.
Yeah.
And this is something that I started to observe. And I realized that how does one deal with this? That if the mind becomes so still, the body isn't used to that. Then it feels it probably instinctively just falls asleep.
Well, I don't know if it's about the body not being used to it. It's simply that
I tried to, on waking up after a good night's sleep, I thought that maybe, in the beginning I tried to find a lot of excuses. Maybe I was tired and that's the reason. But this has actually been one of the most difficult things.
No, it's very simple. It's that mind without an object collapses. Right? It's the two things, the subject and the object. The subject depends on the object. The object is your thought. Now when the object disappears, the subject also disappears. So you lose your consciousness at that moment. You think I've fallen asleep. But no, actually you're in meditation. That's until that moment you weren't meditating. But when that happens, now meditation starts. That's because now people can talk about a thoughtless state, but then who's there noticing this thoughtless state? Somebody's observing it, and somebody's having this thought that, I don't have any thoughts. Right? So that's not a thoughtless state.
It's a good problem to have.
It's a great problem.
It's a great problem to have.
Meditation starts in that moment when there's no one left to observe what's happening. But that's only the first stage of Samadhi. Next stage comes when you're somehow both simultaneously awake and in deep sleep. Your body, like the lady in the back said, the body you think might fall to the floor, right? Because it's as if your body is asleep, right? You have to prop yourself up or else you'll fall down. But your mind is also aware, noticing that your body is doing this. So there's this juxtaposition of sleep and wakefulness at the same time. That's the second stage of Samadhi state. Third stage of Samadhi state is when this happens not when you're sitting in meditation, but when you're conducting your worldly affairs. Then you're just going on automatic, just in a natural way, aware but asleep, as if asleep, because your action is so natural. You don't have to think 5 times, every time you're doing something. It just happens, what they call the flow state. So it's a good sign. I know you're not completely convinced that it's good, but please just think over that. It's a very logical thing, that unless there's a thought, can be nobody to observe it. That without a thought, rather, there can be nobody to observe it either.
So we have, I think, just time for one last question.
Yeah, hi, namaste. So I just want to understand one thing, as you just mentioned, that thought should be ignored while doing meditation. So if we are going to ignore the thoughts, then the seeds which are getting germinated, we are supposed to destroy those seeds while it is germinating. So if we are going to ignore it, so we won't be able to find out why this thought is coming, from where it has come. So we need to go to the root level to understand why these thoughts are coming into our mind. And we need to, just destroy it at that moment itself. If we don't destroy it, then later on it can pop up into a big tree, and then it would be very difficult for us to deal with that particular kind of a situation. So I just want to, we say, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. So we need to just calm down those vrittis, understand those vrittis, and once we understand those vrittis, then only we can just deal with those vrittis.
Yeah.
So how do you how can we deal with it?
It's a very good question.
Let's make it short, otherwise we can have questions. Joshua's around. And
sure. So essentially, the problem is if you are, as you say, really observing and understanding and destroying these seeds. So they go in, this whole act, this whole process will create new seeds at the same time. That's a byproduct. The vrittis are the result of the since you're talking about Patanjali yoga, right?
Yeah.
So these vrittis are the result of samskaras in the consciousness. You can clean samskaras in a different way. All you need to do, there's a technique for it. In a very simple way, you close your eyes in the evening, and for maybe a few minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you can use your will. You can talk afterwards. You can, in a sort of mass scale, remove these samskaras, these impressions from your consciousness. Having removed those roots of the vrittis, now they will not continue to disturb you during meditation. So there's a technique for that. So during meditation, you see a pond, if you want its waves to calm down, you can't add more energy into that system. You can't take your hand and try to smooth it out like ironing a shirt. You can't iron the ripples in a pond. If you try to iron the ripples in the pond, you'll create new ripples. That's what we try to do when we start playing around with thoughts in meditation. So we have to just allow it to calm down on its own. But meanwhile, at another time and in another way, we can remove the roots of those vrittis, the samskaras, through the technique that I mentioned, which is separate than meditation, which you can inquire about afterwards.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So thank you, everyone. I think we've run out of time. I know a couple of people had questions, but so I think Joshua is going to be around, and if anybody has any questions, we can, of course, take it offline. So thank you very much for being such a great audience.
Thank you.
Joshua.
Thank you.